Great. Well, tonight is a drop-in dedicated to the Rising Star or early learner level. So I'm delighted to have some folks here. We're going to talk a little bit about the process. We're going to talk a little bit about the challenge itself. We'll talk a little bit about the handouts that are available on our TVNC website, and then answer questions that you have. So first of all, well, I guess I could put this in for prior years, but I can see your names. Be great to know what school you're with. And I want to start with,
Hey, sorry about that. I actually have a missed school. I'm with Carrollton Farmers Branch, but all of my kids all go to different schools. I have four of them, and all four of them are in different campuses.
okay, I
But
remember you talked about
yeah,
that.
I'm a Farmers Branch elementary mom, though.
Okay, great. All right. So let's start with the end product in mind. Let's talk about the tournament day. How do I get this out of the way? Because I can't see all my words. There we go. All right. So the day starts when they walk into their own area of the tournament site, and there are bright colors and red signs everywhere to help the team manager and the parents get to the right place. Lots of helpful volunteers too. The kids get to gather while the parents help them bring everything in out of the car. And then we're going to have our parents go sit down in the challenge room, maybe enjoy watching some other team or two before our team goes on. The team goes into the prep area. That's their first stop at the tournament, where a warm and helpful volunteer makes sure that they're all ready and they have all their props lined up and their costumes on. And that person will show the team where they're going to go into the launch area. And she lets the team manager go and sit down. Then the magic happens. The team gets a big introduction as the stars that they are. They get to see who the appraisers are. The appraisers, a lot of them come and sit on the floor in front of them or stand to the side. Very excited to watch their performance. The timer starts and the kids set their props up and start their little play in the area that is the main stage area. This skit is the culmination of all the time the team spent together, dreaming up their story, making their costumes out of this and that, all by themselves, painting their props and the things that they made, their model of their habitat, everything that they need, all by themselves. They did this. No parental help along the way. And they are so proud. And then whatever happens, if they go off script or they start giving each other prompts for their lines, or they forget a prop or some breaks, nobody's going to get upset. They just keep going because that's one of the things they practiced might happen. They end their performance to a rousing applause from the appraisers and the moms and dads and grandmas and teachers who came to see them perform. Then the appraisers are going to get down on the team's level to ask the kids to tell them all the cool things they did, what they learned, anything that didn't work along the way, and how much fun they had together and what they're proudest of. So the appraisers get to see, sort of behind the scenes, and everybody gets a chance to talk to the appraisers. Most of the teams after that are going to opt to do a simple instant challenge right there in the room. At the Rising Star level, everyone gets to watch as the teams take some popsicle sticks or a couple of paper clips, some mailing labels, and a cotton ball, and make a device that'll shoot a cotton ball as far across the table as they can, or something like that. They're going to demonstrate how they've learned to solve the problem together. Then the team gets another round of applause and an award that is their own unique best in show sort of accolade, and every kid gets a blue ribbon. Then the parents can come up and help get the stuff out of the room. They're going to hug their little Hollywood stars. And then everybody gets to go celebrate with their teams and families, however they decide they want to celebrate. And it's such a great time. The kids have developed so much confidence, resourcefulness. They've learned so many skills from acting to drilling holes to using a glue gun. And they now know they don't need no stinking adult to give them ideas or answers or do things for them. They can do it themselves. And what a gift it is that the team manager facilitates that with the team. and sometimes make sure that overly involved parents keep their hands out. Those benefits are lifelong. So that's how the tournament day runs. So I'm talking about props, I'm talking about costumes, I'm talking about a play. Let's learn more about what that's all about. So the rough schedule of the year is in the first couple of months, the team is getting organized, starting to work together as a team, maybe playing with some instant challenges, learning performance skills, learning how to work together, learning how to manipulate materials, and they're working on understanding what it is they're supposed to do in their team challenge. Then through December and into January, the team is brainstorming a lot of ideas. They're researching habitats. They're experimenting with, building props, making costumes. And basically, overall, they're creating the presentation. Hopefully, still some more instant challenge practice along the way. But really, January and into February is where the kids really are focused on and concentrated on finalizing their props, their artwork, their script, their practicing, doing dress rehearsals, and then we get to our tournament, which is February 24th. So this is the challenge, Making a Splash, and in the challenge, I have the challenge to bring up here.
Sorry, could you quickly go back to the previous slide?
Sure. This one.
Yes, thank you very much. I just, yeah, there's an idea that I want to share with the team. I just wanted to make sure I got it right. And I know we're recording, but just wanted to make, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. All right, where did it go? It's out of the way. So everybody has been working from the challenge itself. But I can't find it. There it is. Okay, and the challenge is many, many pages. So hopefully everybody has had these materials have been working from this. There's the challenge overview. There's what's to be included in the play, which is a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, it says. And the story is going to be about group of underwater creatures who go from their own habitat to a new underwater habitat, and they meet some creatures there who are going to show them around this new habitat that they're on vacation to. And they're going to show them a landmark in this underwater habitat, and the team gets to build a model of that habitat. Everybody who's in the part of the team or in the performance is going to have some kind of a costume that denotes which underwater creature they are. Are they from the friend group that's traveling, or are they the one or two underwater creatures in the new habitat? There's going to be scenery to show the new underwater habitat that our friends are visiting. And so that's the basis of what this skit is going to be about. There are some other resources. One thing that a team can layer into their performance is something that's called a team choice element. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that is. And so then there are a variety of helpful hints, how to work with this age group, ideas for team meetings, how to approach the challenge. I wanted to call your attention to the safety issues. There are it's so great now that they list this in the challenge. They've been doing that for a few years now, because we used to have to train, that there were certain safety issues that are rules as you get to the competitive level. And we want to make sure that you understand that they need to not be using hazardous materials. They need to have foot coverings on, some kind of shoe or reasonably impenetrable foot covering at all times. They're not allowed to use lasers or laser pointers. And do we know if our tournament is allowing helium or not?
I don't know.
I don't, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, and it's usually dictated by what's going to be allowed at the state tournament.
That is
So,
correct.
yeah.
I'll look at that while you're
Okay,
trained.
so I wanted to go over that. If there are latex allergies in your team, that's something to be really careful about. And of course, they can't use live animals or dead ones. They can't have anything that is a party popper or a flame or a candle or combust in any way. If the team wants to use electricity, they need to, there will be an extension cord, but they need to, it's a single extension cord. So if they need to plug in multiple things, they may need to think about, having batteries and things or bringing additional cords. And dry ice. It says that you can use dry ice unless that is something that's being prohibited at our tournament, as long as the kids are using heavy duty gloves or using tongs. So I don't know if any teams are planning on using dry ice, but those are the rules that we kind of enforce at our tournament. Of course, we also want to enforce the no interference concept of Destination Imagination. And that concept is at the Rising Star level, they are not required to provide an expense report or a Declaration of Independence, but I still think that the Declaration of Independence is a good exercise for a team manager to read through that with the kids and make sure that they really can attest to and that you are confident that there has not been adult interference. And what adult interference means is that somebody, the team manager or a parent should not be cutting the ribbons that are part of the costume. They should not be using the X-Acto knife that cut out something out of cardboard. The kids have to be able to do those things themselves. It is not about looking perfect. It is not about being, absolutely straight. The more kid done, the better. This is a tenet of Destination Imagination in general, and something we really, really encourage. If we can, pretty much tell that there's been some interference, we'll generally pull a team manager aside and talk to them and suggest that come competitive years, that ends you up with getting deductions, and it's really devastating to the team. There is a form called the Starry Showcase form that is it is an online form. So make sure you come back to the drop-in where we are going to talk about preparing for the tournament and what kinds of forms and how you access those and all of that information. Like I said, the instant challenge is an optional part that teams are asked in the prep area if they want to do the instant challenge, and everybody gets to watch at the Rising Star level at our. Then in the challenge, there are some tools and some helpful ideas. I'm going to show you this, the storyboard planning tool, and in a minute, I'm going to show you a much better one. And then there's a whole slew of instant challenges that the teams could have been playing with and utilizing. The Starry Showcase form, you have a copy of it at the end of the challenge itself. But you will actually not be filling out a paper form. You will be doing this form online prior to the tournament by a few days. That gets submitted, then we know that you are coming to the tournament. We look at those, what you've written on the Starry Showcase form, and if we have any questions about something we think is a concern or something that's incomplete, we can get a hold of you and get that information before it's a panicky feeling on tournament day. So that's the challenge. And what I prepare every single year, and this document is in fact on our website. And I'm going to bring this up where we can actually see it big enough to read. So even if you didn't have the challenge itself and all those resources, really from this handout, you could probably have everything that you need to solve the challenge. So it encapsulates what they do have to do. So the story is about a group of underwater friends embarking on a vacation. Some characters should be part of the group of underwater creatures who are going on vacation, and they can be from one or more other underwater habitats. But at least two of the characters should be different, and they are still underwater creatures, but they live in the habitat that our group of friends is visiting. And they're going to help them learn about the new habitat. And in the new habitat, there needs to be a local landmark. The team gets to build a model, like however big they want this to be, a model of what this landmark is. And they're going to build this model out of repurposed or recyclable materials. The team should also have costumes, and one of the costumes is asked to have a moving part, and they'll make scenery to bring the underwater habitat to life. So those are all of the required elements. And, because nothing is scored at the Rising Star level, what you get is feedback, things that the appraisers thought was really cool or special or interesting or creative. And so we hope that every team will have all of these pieces and parts that the challenge has asked the team to do. And for teams that are very young and inexperienced, or you're running out of time, don't not come to the tournament because you don't think they're finished. Come with what you have. And there is something called a team choice element, which can be added on top of, or maybe just highlighted on your forms, of something that the kids did themselves that maybe makes one prop or costume more elaborate than the others. Maybe they'll add some other technical element. Maybe in their model, something will have a moving part. They can layer on, they could do things in rhyme, or they could have something very artistic. They could have one piece of their props that, they might build a coral or something, out of paper mache or something, and have that be a team choice element. So these are things that are layered on, or that after you kind of are as good as it's going to get and are ready to fill out these forms, maybe sit and talk with the team and say, is there anything that is like above and beyond, that's like your favorite thing that, isn't the costume that has the moving part, but something else, something that wasn't required, but something that's really cool that the team did, and ask that to be scored or to be commented upon as your team choice element. Then the whole rest of this document is about, how do you get going? How do you get the team to get all of these things in place, to do the research, to learn about what a landmark is, what is a habitat? So some of it is just the research part. So a habitat is described or defined as the place a group of animals lives, sleeps, and gets food and water. So this is an underwater habitat. So they're going to look at researching other kinds of underwater habitats. That could be like, the bottom of the drain pipe, and there's bacteria or something in there. It could be that kind of thing, or it could be, like the Little Mermaid or SpongeBob, a full underwater, characters that we've sort of seen before. It doesn't have to be lifelike. It doesn't have to be a science paper that is about starfish, or seahorses, but it can have those habitats, those animals or creatures. But we can also layer on and make those, silly, goofy, more creative. It doesn't all have to be factual. Have fun using found objects and recyclables to make the model of the local landmark. So the point is to do some research and work on this story or skit that that highlights what they've learned. We want you to get things past things they've seen in the movies like The Little Mermaid or SpongeBob or something. And they can even, take it out of real life experience or YouTubes they've watched or, research that they've done. But let's let them layer on some make believe. It's not a social studies or a science report. Then it talks about how do we make memorable characters. So if our characters are not human, although an underwater creature could be a like scuba diver, potentially, maybe, I don't know. But they're probably going to be some kind of creature that may not be human. But do all of them have to be an actual creature? Could something be inanimate? Could something be fossilized? Could something be, something other than what you think of as a typical underwater creature? What kinds of problems do they encounter in moving from one habitat to another? What's their day like? Do they have really unusual attributes? Do they do really different, unusual things? And what do our characters, because our characters can be anything we want them. What do they look like? How do they move? What do they sound like? Do they talk? Do they make noises? Do they talk in some sort of, code? What do they smell like? Underwater creatures might be pretty smelly. That could be a funny thing to layer in. What are some fun, creative, or goofy props, settings, and especially costumes that our characters might have in our play? This is where the kids can really take a flight into creativity. Just having costumes that lets the audience know something about that character. Are some of them older than others? Is there a mommy starfish and a little kid starfish? Is there a grandma starfish? Just remember that one costume this year should have a moving part. And the moving part could be, just something that comes up on a string, something that, they pull a pulley. It's just some simple machine or simple way for something. Maybe it's articulated with, a stick or something in there. So something that moves. A helpful thing to build set pieces and props is just have a bunch of common stuff on hand and lots and lots of pictures so that you, the team managers, are not leading the kids to a specific sort of look or storyline or whatever. So that maybe the team can make up some sort of circumstance or situation that's completely fantastical, even if their research and, if they want to stay, kind of true to science about their habitats and their characters. So you might explore real habitats and real science and then incorporate some fantasy characters or events. Maybe start with a crazy mixed up, made up story and then inject into that the real life, factual, animals, creatures, places. Remember that all good stories have, it's not enough to say we have a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning is the setup, where we are, where we started, something about where we've traveled to, maybe, if we're in the past or in the future, or, it's sort of the who, what, when, where, and why are we here. Then there's going to be something that happens in the middle of the skit that is some sort of a problem, a situation, a conflict, a difficulty that the team has to kind of resolve together that ties up all the loose ends. So sometimes the ending might even be a moral to the story. So what is a problem or a conflict? Could it be something that mixes fact and fiction? Is it caused by a bad person, a bad group, maybe it's caused by pollution, maybe it's caused by, what do we know? What do we want to add in that's going to be a problem? Is it something that happens to our characters? Is it something that we cause? Is it an ongoing problem? Did something happen to cause our problem? Is it a problem for everyone, or is it a problem for one or two of our characters? So those are all questions that you can work with the team to get to a storyline. And then you might, try to think about is there something out of the box, a plot twist? It doesn't have to make adult sense, you know? Do you want to put in some sort of a surprise ending? Okay, and then I talk a little bit more about team choice elements. So this might be really helpful, even though we're already at January 17th. Probably most teams are still kind of trying to finalize their story, incorporate that research, and be able to turn that into a script with lines that they can practice in a play format or a skit. So this is on the TVNC website in Team Manager Resources, probably under Rising Stars level or something. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but we can go and look. There is a second document that I develop every year, and that is questions at the end of the season. And maybe as you're trying to make sure that you've gotten everything done, that the team has really thought about what they want to put in their Rising Stars Starry Showcase form when you complete those forms. So how did we go about imagining our underwater habitats? One habitat is where our group started or usually live. What's cool about the habitat that we go visit? Why did we pick those habitats and creatures? What's our fun landmark that we vacationed to? Did we add any other characters besides the two who are showing us their new habitat and one or two or three or four or five friends who are on this trip? How did we make our characters memorable or unique? What did we use to make a moving part in one of our costumes? What unusual materials did we repurpose to make our model of the landmark? What made our story exciting? What was our challenge or conflict that happened on our vacation that we had to resolve? Do we have any truly unique elements to our play? That's where you would highlight one as a team choice element then. You can talk about how effectively the team worked together. If at the end, when you're reading them, their feedback from the appraisers, maybe say, is there anything you wish you'd done differently? Maybe, that in retrospect, that you wish you'd done that we can think about, spending a little more time on next year. And, how did we write our play that used the challenge elements in creative ways? So this is something that you can use now to make sure you're going to have all these pieces and parts in there for the team to be able to work through. So both of those are in the Rising Stars section of Team Manager Resources. This is what I wanted to show you about. We actually have this as a template also in Team Manager Resources, where it's beginning, middle, and end, but it says, okay, what do you have to have in the beginning? What's in the middle? And what is the end? The end, and sometimes teams start with an end in mind. This is or a problem and an end to it. And then they go back to the beginning and say, okay, how are we going to get there? So however you attack this with your team, this is a more helpful way to talk with your team specifically about how to build a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. All right, so that is what I had to present today. And so at this point, I guess we could probably, I don't know, should we let the recording go? There may be some good questions. What do you think? And you're muted.
Yeah, I think we can let it go. And I have an answer kind of about helium. So the state tournament says helium balloons are allowed as long as you control them, as long as they're not getting away on. But our tournament looks like we typically don't allow helium balloons, but I have no idea why. So
well, there were a few years where the state tournament didn't allow And so we didn't either.
And so
And-
we didn't either, right? And so yeah, so I think we're gonna take that restriction off, and I think we're gonna say the same kind of thing. It's just like if we got balloons kind of that are bothering people, that's gonna be a problem. And we also say no dry ice. Now the state tournament says you can have dry ice, but you got to have it clear. Well, you have to have it cleared first from the tournament director to make sure that that's okay. What was the other thing? Oh, they talk about glitter. And if you, they say like they kind of don't want glitter, but if you're using glitter, you better be able to clean it up. Otherwise your team's going to get a deduction. So
we don't have
since we're at
deductions at Rising Stars, but we
Yeah,
are
well,
going
yeah,
to,
yeah,
we are
that's
going to
true,
make you
that's
get
true.
down with the toothbrush and no, with,
Well,
You need to,
so-
you need to bring one of those little
you need to
vacuums.
bring, yep.
Well, you
bring
know
a-
what they
bring a
said
stick
it-
vacuum.
what they were saying in RD training the other day too is that a lot of times they'll put in the challenge master boxes, they'll put lint roller to
Ah,
get rid of.
That'd work too.
I'm like,
That's interesting,
yes, I'm like, add that to our list.
because
So,
I
yeah.
know our Rising Stars boxes, we do have a little, dust
Oh,
brush and,
yeah,
whatever that's called, the thing that's called. So we have them in the room, but it's a hassle. If you've made very much of a mess or you had something that blows confetti or something, it's a pain. We really don't even have time for you to really be able to clean that up. So, bringing us a little dust buster or stick vacuum or something with you is probably a really good idea
yeah.
if you're using something like that.
Okay, so we can open it up to questions.
Yeah.
What do you guys have for, so
I
Margaret
don't
is,
have a question. Oh, sorry.
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't have a question, but I was curious if those last two documents that you presented were going to be sent out specifically, after the challenge is completed, like the good recap questions for the kids, and then the document that just has, general questions.
I thought I sent that out when I invited everybody to this.
You may have. I'll go back and
Session.
double check. Let me look
Yeah.
at it actually.
Right, because you invited specifically Rising Stars team managers. That's right.
I
So
did. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I attached those two documents. But I can probably go check.
I don't see it. The way that I receive them looks like a newsletter from like Intuit MailChimp, and it doesn't have attachment, but
Right,
it could just
right.
be.
So that's right. There was two different ways. So Margaret, who is our challenge master for Rising Stars for the early learning challenge, she sent out individual invitations to this drop-in only to Rising Stars team managers. And then like you get the weekly newsletter, whatever that goes to everybody. So Margaret's saying, well, we'll make sure if you guys didn't get it, we'll make sure that Margaret resends it back out to the Rising Stars team managers.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
it-
I just looked. I don't have it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, it was called Special Early Learning / Rising Stars Drop-In January 17th. And I sent regarding the Rising Star Challenge, the evaluation questions, and I
Yep.
sent the kind of rules thing. So
Yeah.
make sure I have, well, okay, that's the other thing.
I think I did receive that email on January 6th, early morning, January
It's
6th.
very possible I cleared it out.
Yeah.
An error. I
Okay,
apologize.
I got it as
yeah,
well.
no problem. Yeah, I can resend that, or you can go straight to the TVNC website and find that as well.
Right, but the one you made specifically with this year's challenge, I don't think I have that on the website.
Really?
The questions,
Okay, I'll make sure you get it too. I thought that I had given those both to you when we did the challenge breakouts,
Oh,
but maybe I
oh,
didn't.
maybe you did. Well, let me check on that too. Okay, so let me stop the recording because it's mostly me yip yapping at this point.